It's very rare for a rookie to come into the NBA and be able to contribute at a high level from day one. Usually when a young rookie comes into the NBA, unless they're an older rookie that's had 3 or 4 years of college experience, you'll end up seeing a lot of mental errors, bad turnovers, frustrating shot selection, and other symptoms that just come from a lack of experience. That, fortunately, has not been the case with Scottie Barnes. The rookie for the Toronto Raptors was selected with the 4th overall pick out of Florida State, and there were some question marks being floated about Barnes prior to draft night. The biggest concern about Barnes was the question of whether or not he'd be able to be a consistent shooter. He had the willingness to shoot the threes, which is definitely a positive, but he was shooting at a clip of under 30%, which is definitely not ideal. Other concerns cited were that Barnes wasn't necessarily an elite athlete, which is surprising to me considering he's had some of the most electric highlights of all the rookies so far. I wouldn't necessarily describe him as a graceful, fluid athlete, but he's more than capable and explosive enough to be able to excel at a high level. He has a ridiculously high motor and is teeming with energy when he's on the floor. He rarely, if ever, looks lazy or disinterested, and he's locked in at all moments while he's in the game. There's certainly no lack of effort from Barnes, which is always a good sign for a rookie because it shows that they're willing to try and get better. The most impressive tool that Barnes has at his disposal is his mind. Barnes is a very smart player, which is why he's frequently drawn comparisons to Draymond Green, another super smart forward who can do a little bit of everything. When you combine that mind with a 6'8" frame, a 9-foot standing reach, and a 7' 3" wingspan, you get an incredibly unique player that becomes very, very difficult to game plan for. He's one of the few players in the entire NBA that possesses a 7-foot wingspan, and from what we've seen so far, he's able to make the most of it. This intelligence is on display, particularly in his rebounding ability. He's really good at positioning himself for rebounds and boxing out the opposing team. He's then able to utilize that ridiculously long wingspan in order to secure the rebound. This makes him a threat to grab 10+ rebounds on a nightly basis. He secures on average 11.25 rebounds per 75 possessions so far in his career. For a power forward to be such a lethal rebounder isn't something we see every day. He leads all rookies in rebounding with 10 rebounds per game at the time of this recording. The other advantage to Barnes being such an intelligent player is that he's able to immediately initiate a fast break offense due to his smart passing ability instead of having to immediately give up the ball to the point guard. The rest of the team is able to start moving up the floor with Barnes pushing it up to the half court. We haven't seen the playmaking ability of Barnes on full display yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick Nurse utilize Barnes more as a point forward in the same vein as Giannis, Ben Simmons, LeBron, and all the players of that nature with the frame of a forward but the IQ and passing ability to run your offense. This could be especially deadly with Barnes running with your bench unit because it creates all sorts of mismatches and chaos for the opposing defenses. Speaking of the defensive end, Barnes has shown a lot of competence. It's unusual for rookies to be plus defenders on day one, but currently Barnes has a defensive rating of 89.2 points per 100 possessions, which is 17.6 points per 100 possessions better than the league average, which is 106.8 points per 100 possessions. Taking it even further, when he's on the court, the Raptors have a defensive rating of 92.3, whereas when he's off the court, the Raptors have a defensive rating of 102. He contributes a lot to the Raptors' success on the defensive end of the floor, both with his solid interior anchoring, as well as being switchable and able to provide help defense. For a rookie to be so impactful from day one on the defensive end is really unusual, and it bodes really well for the future success of the Raptors. It appears that Barnes is a switchable defender and will be able to act as an anchor for this Raptors team's defense well into the future. Now, when it comes to his scoring ability, Barnes is showing signs that he can score at an NBA level without any issue. He currently ranks third amongst rookies in terms of true shot percentage with 57.1, which is 2.3% better than the league average up to this point. Barnes currently ranks second amongst rookies in scoring with 18 points per game, behind only Chris Duarte with 20.3 points per game. Expanding his numbers to points per 75 possessions, which is a better indicator of a player's scoring potential, he scored 20.25 points per 75 possessions. He's shown a lot of variety in his scoring game, being able to get inside and finish and also stretch the floor a bit out to the mid-range. There's a lot to be desired right now from outside the arc, but I think this is an area of his game that's going to be able to develop. For his height, he has some surprisingly good ball handling ability. It's nothing insane by any means, but it's enough for him to utilize it to beat defenders and get a good look for himself at the rim. His interior and post game remind me a lot of Giannis, not in that I think he's going to be as dominant as Giannis or anything like that, but rather that he uses a lot of the same moves that Giannis does in order to score in the paint. While he is currently a pretty abysmal jump shooter, he's able to contribute on offense in a lot of other ways, some that may not even show up in the box score. So much so that the Raptors score 16.5 points per 100 possessions more with Barnes on the floor than without him. One interesting statistic that I noticed when researching this video was that Scotty Barnes shoots better when being tightly defended as opposed to being wide open. Through this season so far, he shoots at a clip of 55.8% when a defender is within 4 feet of him. When the closest defender is 4 feet or further from him, he shoots at an average of 40.3%. Obviously, it's going to be way more important for him to start knocking down the open shots in the very near future, but him hitting at over a 50% clip with defenders on him is pretty impressive for him. Right now, his scoring is likely going to be relegated to the paint, but I think adding a reliable 3-ball to his game is going to be something that takes Scottie Barnes to the next level. As far as player comparisons and outlook goes for Scottie Barnes, I personally have very high hopes for him. I think he has all-star potential and can be one of the best two-way players in the NBA at some point during his career. He reminds me a lot of Bam Adebayo in that he's a versatile defender that can guard the perimeter while also being a defensive anchor on the interior. Scoring-wise, I see a lot of Giannis in him. He's got those go-go gadget arms and uses similar post moves and hook shots that Giannis uses to get his buckets. I also think he's going to add a better level of stretchability to his game. There's no reason he can't become a 20-point and 10-rebound per game guy while also contributing at an elite level on the defensive end and also being able to initiate your offense. Obviously, it's still very early in the season and the sample sizes for these numbers are so incredibly small, but I think we've seen the signs for Barnes and what he's capable of. The name of the game for him now is going to be consistency and developing his range to become a reliable jump shooter. If he's able to build off of this already incredibly solid foundation, the sky is legitimately the limit for him. With players like Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby playing alongside him, this team could become a very serious threat in not too long, potentially even making another playoff push this year. In my opinion, the Raptors may have found their next star. So what do you think of Scottie Barnes so far? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button because that is the best way to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.